Hello everybody, this is Evan Carthy from evancarthy.com. Today we are going to look at the S&P 500 for the weekly review, but also not just review, I'm going to say what I think is going to happen in the market for next week with precise entries and exits. So in looking at the S&P 500, the ES, S&P 500 E-minis, I wanted to start out with the daily chart because the big question everyone's asking is when's this uptrend going to end and when can I start shorting the market so I can make as much money as possible. So what we're going to do is one instrument I like to use from time to time that I treat similar to the MFI down here is Andrew's pitchfork. I've attempted in the past to try to figure out some way to incorporate it into buying and selling signals when I'm looking to trade. Fortunately, I haven't discovered that yet, but what I have discovered is it does provide a good barometer for when you are looking to see the overall trend and what you think is going to happen at certain levels. So if we go all the way back to 2009 or at the kind of the very bottom of the financial crisis from, or I guess, excuse me, into the was it the dot-com bubble that burst and everything down here in 2003. I think that's what it was. I wasn't trading at that time. Then you have the financial crisis, the lows of this down here at 2009. So use that for your Andrews pitchforks points. And as you can see, as price moves up towards it, it's stayed in the areas pretty good and continue to go up. So as you can see from it, it's broken out of Andrew's pitchfork and continues to go higher. So when you had that big sell-off down here that we had back in kind of I guess ended kind of before Christmas time, it came down and kind of used the top of the Andrew's pitchfork line as support for it. And then as you can see, it has taken off since then. So where the market is, the S&P 500 is in relative to this big move, and I like to use the longer time frames for Andrew's pitchforks when I'm looking at something like this, it's still extremely strong. So although there's been a little rockiness, up, down, pull downs, things like that, it's still extremely strong until it starts breaking down into the blue zone down here and coming in, and especially gets down to the green zone, because as you can see, the first time it kind of got into this little green part of Andrew's pitchfork right here, it didn't even get close to the midline of Andrew's pitchfork. It pretty much bounced straight off that and continued up again. So this market is still extremely strong, but what I want to show you is we're starting to reach some topping type of levels and some interesting formations, and a pattern has shown up over and over again that I want to show you as well. And also one other thing to point out down here is I'm still expecting eventually, I don't know when it's going to happen, but eventually price will go back down to around 1162, somewhere like that, 1170-ish down here for the S&P 500. Yeah, it'll be a huge drop. It'll stink, if you're long and everything, but unfortunately, the way this setup goes, that's what it's showing, that eventually price will come back down here. I'm not sure when, where, how, or why, but someday it will. I mean, it may not be for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, but eventually it will come back. And one last thing to point out, as you can see right here, using the Fibonacci extension levels the other way from this short move lightning setup right here, there's the 261 Fibonacci extension level, and look how price perfectly bounced off that. I mean, that's just beautiful right there. And it's using the 200 as support right there. Why it's using that, I don't know. You can see down here at the 161 again, price perfectly bounced off all that, and between the 127 and 161, that's where it had a lot of junk happening before it shot up again. So in the daily chart, when you get to the 261 extension level, that is a very extreme level when I'm looking at my lightning trade setup right here, because usually on the daily chart, when price gets like to the 161, that's still a pretty extreme level to get to without having no retracement for it before it fills it out yet. So getting to the 261 level, that's obviously more an extreme level. And then of course, I mean, if you ever get to the 423 level, that's crazy. That's time to start shorting it because price is pulling back. But yeah, so 261 is extreme level, so just be careful. But I mean, right now for the long side, for the long term, the daily chart, price is still real strong. It hasn't shown any reason why we think it's just going to totally break down tomorrow and eventually go back to these 1170 levels for the S&P 500. That's just one thing I want to show. Like I said, I use the Andrews Pitchfork as kind of a guide and for overall trend, kind of like what I use for the MFI to see if the market's overbought or oversold. And if we are looking at that from the daily chart, because that's the only one I use, or I look at the MFI on for it, you can see here price kind of bumped up to the overbought level, and that's continued to go up ever since. So just because it hits the overbought level doesn't mean that let me make this a little bigger for you. It doesn't mean a sell-off is happening immediately. All it means is just something to look out for, because look at down here when the MFI came all the way down here, down to the very bottom right here, it bottomed out and still went a tad bit lower before it came back. So it's just a good indicator to recognize that the going long or the trend to the upside might be coming to an end pretty soon. And as you can see, it's making divergence. Sit up there, it's starting to make higher highs in it, or excuse me, higher lows on the MFI, but continue to make higher highs on the S&P 500 daily chart. So just something to be aware of for the long-term time frame. And let me show you. Let's go down to the 15-minute chart, because this is where I know something really interesting, and it's a pattern that has been happening over and over and over again. So here in the 15-minute chart right here, this is where I did a trade for short side setup last week using that pivot point. That pivot point, this is where I did it, and this is the exit level I'm expecting it to eventually come down to 27.13. As you can see, price has just been going up ever since. Let me draw the Fibonacci retracement levels right there and right there. So that's it, just above the 50% Fibonacci retracement level is what I'm looking for. But one thing I noticed is prices kept going up, but obviously, but it's the pattern that is created every single time before it's made its move up that's extremely interesting. So if we go all the way back to, let's see, I can zoom further than that. Yeah, right there. And then I'll show you the 1 hour chart as well. That's the 1 hour chart over there. But look at this setup right here. So what we have is you have price using this pivot point and that pivot point. Price goes down, retraces back up pretty sharply, it goes back down again, but never goes and hits the 127, which is what keeps us in the lightning trade to the short side. Let me scroll down a little bit. There is the 127, the orange line right there. So obviously it just barely breaks out of this this pivot point down below, which initiates the lightning trade. Never hits 127, so it's in. Hits the 38 going the other way, never comes down, and hits the green line, so it's still in. Hits the green line the opposite way, and then never comes back and hits the 50% tracing level the other way. So that's going to be the final exit for this move right here, eventually around 2046. But what I want to show is, look how it goes up, barely breaks it going down, and then rockets off the other way. Now let's look at this pattern going the rest of the way, because it's happened over and over and over again. Here's another one right here, using that pivot point that high, that pivot point that low. Price goes on up, sharp move down, barely breaks. Let's draw the Fibonacci extension level. There we go, barely breaks it, but enough to initiate it, and off we go. Again, no retracements or enough. If that had come down and hit the 0 line right here, then that would have ended it, but it didn't. Kept on going opposite the other way. Let's look at it, because there's at least 2 or 3 more. Yep, there's another one right here. Goes down, barely breaks it, you can see, and it's off to the races. It's off to the races the other way. So this is, and that was the one I did last week. Here's another one that just happened this past week. Price goes down, barely breaks it, or okay, using that pinpoint, there's the retracement. Price pretty sharp retracement up, price comes down, barely breaks it, bam, stripped the other way, hasn't come back anytime soon. And then one last one right here that currently formed, and I don't have any reason to believe why it wouldn't do what the other ones are doing. Look, using that pivot point, price goes up, sharp move down, kind of waffles around a little bit, but it broke it down here, that pivot point level, so that initiates lightning trade, bam, it's gone up ever since. It doesn't look like it's coming down hitting this green line because that's the current exit from that move. Once it hits that green line right there, let's zoom in a little bit more. Once it hits this green line up here at around 27.98, then the exit would move just above the 50% retracement level, around 27.85 right here. But based upon the way the other ones go, there's no reason to believe this isn't going to take off anymore, which I think it is. I think all right, this is my prediction for it. Maybe completely wrong, but it wouldn't be the first time. Is based upon how the same setup on this move to the upside ever since the Christmas lows. I think there's going to be at least one more of these setups before price goes and takes out my exit I have up there that I'll show you here in just a little bit. And I think it's going to go because in all these moves right here, let's scoot that. That's not what I want. In all these moves right here, price is at least going up to the 127 Fibonacci extension level from the other way before it starts waffling around and it does this little zigzag where it goes down, trace up a little bit, sharp down a little bit, just enough to break it, and then zooms back up. So in my guesstimation, price is going to go anywhere from 28.05 all the way up to 28.26 before it does it. The last move it had, it went all the way up to the 200% line, but most of them from the past 3 or 4 moves that it has, once it hits anywhere between the 127 and the 168, that's when it does the zigzag down. Let's take that off. Zigzag down, zigzag up, and then zigzag down, barely break it before it shoots back up again. So that's my prediction what's going to happen. It's going to happen a couple more times because as you can see, this pink line up here at around 28.48, and this blue box is the bottom of the blue box is the hard exit level I have for a major move that I'll zoom out here in a little bit and show you. Is a hard exit is 28.55, but just get out there a little earlier. Just make sure if you are looking for a hard exit, it'd be 28.48 here to the upside. So last week what I said is price is either going to continue to go up, hit this pink line, or eventually come down and take out this one. I'm not sure which one's going to be first down here at 27.13 or 28.48. But the way this market's moving, it really looks like it's going to be the 28.48 level that it's going to go up and hit and take out the first time. And it looks like it's going to continue doing this move because, I mean, there's one of those moves, two of those moves, three. Let's see if that's one or did that one get taken out right here? Let's see here. Nope, that one's still alive. There's another one right there. So we'll go ahead and mark that one right there. Another one right there. Another one right here. That one got taken out, I believe. Let's see if this one got taken out. Yeah, that one got taken out. See here, it broke out down here, the lightning trade, went up, hit the green line, so that moves the exit up to the 50% Fibonacci retracement level, and so that one got taken out right there, so that one's not a live one. But you have several others. This is a small one right here as well. Here's another one right here. So let's go over to the 1 hour chart and let me show you the exit I have where the pink line was drawn from. Plus you have this major move right here. We won't worry about that one. We've got enough of them. So here's the move where that pink line came from over here. As soon as it loads, I'll be able to show you it. So here's the move where it came from. And let me draw it the other way as well so you can see how price reacted off of some extreme Fibonacci levels. So here's the move I have. As you see, there's the brown box. That's what you see. Here's lightning trade. White price went broke up, never hit the orange line 127, and it's pretty much gone down ever since. So the exit's going to be on the opposite side. This. There we go. There's the exit. Let me take off some of these fib levels right here and make it a little bit easier to see. So that's why I have the exit right there. That looks like it's going to be a magnet for it. So that's where I have the pink line, 28.48, 28.50, whatever you want to call it right there. But somewhere between 28.48 and 28.53, you know, that's definitely the sell zone. Get out of there because that big move is going to be complete. Doesn't mean the market couldn't continue to go up and higher at all, but that's just definitely the magnet level I'm looking at for that exit. And based upon those setups, you know, as you can see down here, the 1 hour chart, price goes down, break up, or the breaks, it zooms back up. I mean, that's a pattern that this is shown over and over again on this move up right here. So I would expect at least one, if not two more moves like this, because if you take it from there to there, you can look, you can see price started the retracement when it hit between about the 127 and 143 when it came back, based upon this move right here before price created that move again. It went between the 200 and the 261 Fibonacci extension level before price came back again. Based upon this move right here, price went up and hit about the 200 before it came back. So there's no reason to believe that price won't at least go up from this move right here and hit somewhere between the 168 and 261 level. So you're looking about 28.15 all the way up to 28.43. So if it does go up there, and if it's just one more move that's going to do this, it kind of fits this pink line perfectly for it from this move. So there could be a smaller move, you know, where it goes up, has a sharp move down, little retracement up, a little sharp move down the downside, barely just breaks that last pivot low and then shoots back up again. So that's what I would be looking for, at least one more setup like that. Unfortunately, it is a great setup. Well, not unfortunately, it's a great step to trade, but I haven't figured out how I would trade it personally. One thing I've been considering looking at right here is, for instance, let's make this a little bit longer right here, because this is a reversal trade, and if you're going on the downtrend, then you'll just kill your account, because you'll be going opposite, and the market will continue going down when you're trying to go along like this. So one thing I was looking at is you can either take one of like the highest, draw your trend line. As soon as the trend line breaks out, you get in it, your exit is going to be just under that lowest low right there, and then it takes off. But the problem with it is there's plenty of times, like if price comes back and hits the, say, the 50% retracement level right there, it zooms back down again. So it's not something I set up. I do trade. Like look right here. This has been an excellent setup to get in right here. Based upon that, you use the trend line right there. That's, you take it kind of from the top of that to that retracement up. As soon as price breaks it, you get in right there, and you have your exit just under that pivot low, so just below 27.64. You're in at 27.72. Price is currently at 27.97. So if you think that price is going to continue to do what it has been doing, hitting at least the 127, your exit can be anywhere from 28.04 to 28.14 to 28.27. So just something I noticed, you know, in setups, patterns repeat themselves in uptrends and downtrends for it. So I thought that was just very interesting. I mean, it looks like the price comes down, pushes down, people retrace it back up, then sharp move down, gets a bunch of people trapped right here, people thinking it's heading, it's finally breaking down, and then look at that, just shoots back off just about every single time. Down, little retracement up, sharp move down, gets people trapped down there, and then moves back up. And this is on the this is the 1 hour chart, so definitely is enough time during these moves and down here at these lows to get a bunch of people trapped in there, and before it shoots back up again. So if you are looking at shorting the market, just be careful, because as you see, this pattern has repeated itself over and over ever since the end of December when we've had this move up. So it'll be interesting to see when a downtrend happens, seeing if the opposite way happens, where price shoots up, shoots up, has a move down, comes back up, barely breaks it up there, and then sharp move down right there. So that's what I'm going to be looking for the other way, and that's what I'm also going to continue to look for the long side. It's really interesting setup, just something it jumped out at me when from the lightning trade when I saw how all these were setting up. But as all these short side lightning trade setups are happening, it just leads more ammo that eventually the breakdown will happen. And as it's going up, because I can see there were a bunch here going down to the downside as well, and all these have gotten filled to the upside. And based upon this move right here, this setup that we're looking to get filled all the way up here, look at how price perfectly, I mean, you could use a daily chart, the 1 hour chart, but look how price perfectly hit the 423 level before it bounced back up. So it's really oversold market without having the retracement up there, right there, and you know, eventually came back. So this video is running a little long, sorry about that, but I just wanted to show that setup that's happening. I really think another one is going to happen, and so another one of those setups where you have the move up, down a little bit, up just enough to break the last pivot high. Excuse me, I'm sorry. We're going to have another move down, slight move up, a little more move down that breaks that last pivot point, and then a move up again. So be on the lookout for that. I know I am. I'm not going to trade it, but it is something that really jumped out at me and something I'm going to look into further on trade setup. So hope that helped. If you have any questions or want me to see go anything, please let me know. Thanks. Have a good one.